Hey everyone, I'm YJJ and in today's video I'm going to share my thoughts on the newly opened Thomson-East Coast Line Phase 2. To keep it simple, I'll give 5 things I like and 5 things I didn't like about my experience. So firstly, 5 things I liked about the TL2, or just TL in general. So number 1, the train is really fast. I took the train from Woodlands North all the way to Caldecott and the whole journey took slightly over 20 minutes. In comparison, the journey from Woodlands to Bishan on the North-South line, which is roughly the same distance, takes around 30 to 35 minutes. Coincidentally, these stretches which I just mentioned both have 9 stations, which means it's not the fewer stations that makes the TL faster. So number 2, the train is comfortable. Not too much of a surprise here as this is pretty much expected across the MRT network. The seats are comfortable and the air conditioning is just nice, not too hot and not too cold. Moving on to number 3, the dynamic route map display. Now, just for a bit of context, the dynamic route map display on the North, South and East West lines, or Staris 2.0 as it is called, was really very awful when it first launched and it still pretty much is today. There's even a whole blog post written about the terrible design of Staris 2.0. But in one word, PowerPoint. Literally every element, you can tell it was made in PowerPoint. While the dynamic route map display on the Thomson-East Coast Line shows less information than Staris 2.0, such as the nearby landmarks and the station layout and exits, it has a much better look than Staris 2.0. The display shows a full map of the line, and the station names are displayed in English, Chinese and Tamil. And the animations are much smoother. So that's quite a big plus point for the Thomson-East Coast Line. So number 4, the station lighting. Okay, this sounds a little strange, but you can quite literally see the difference at Caldecott Station by walking from the Thomson-East Coast Line platform to the Circle Line platform. The Circle Line platform looks significantly darker and gloomier, while the Thomson-East Coast Line platforms look brighter and livelier. Part of this is due to the skylights at the Caldecott station, but for the other Thomson-East Coast Line stations which I visited, I've noticed the same thing. And finally on to number 5, the train frequency. Back in TL1, the line wasn't really known for frequent train service. Trains would often come at a frequency of 12 minutes in off-peak hours, and the stopover time at the northern terminus, Woodlands North, was very long. When I visited the newly opened TL2, the train frequency was around 7 minutes, almost half of the original frequency. And according to the Straits Times, the train frequency will be every 5 minutes during peak hours. Okay, so that's the 5 things which I liked about TL2, or the Thomson-East Coast Line in general. And now for the things that I didn't really like. So number 1, the trains are very loud. So compared to other MRT lines, I feel that the Thomson-East Coast Line is one of the loudest MRT lines. So using my phone, the noise while the train was travelling frequently reached the range of 90 to 100 decibels. According to the CDC, hearing loss is possible after 15 minutes of exposure to 100 decibels. So this is not only worrying for frequent commuters but also for staff that work frequently on the trains. Moving on to number 2, the escalators are very slow. Go to any other station on the MRT network and take the escalator, then go to the Thomson-East Coast Line and it feels like the escalators there are operating on power saving mode. It's quite slow. Number 3, the 5 doors in each train. This isn't really much of a problem, but it's just one of those features that don't bring commuters much benefit. LTA claims that having those 5 doors allows for quicker boarding and alighting, but does it really have that much of an impact? Anyway, moving on. Number 4, the door closing chime. So for passengers who don't take the line often, they probably won't be bothered too much about this, but for the frequent commuters like me, the door closing chime is really loud, and I don't really quite have the words to describe it in detail, but the sound of it is really uncomfortable for me. So compare that to the north, south and east west lines, which have a chime which I would say is more gentle on the ears.
Doors are closing.
So hopefully they could either lower the volume of the door closing chime, or even better, change it to one which is more comfortable on the ears. And lastly, number 5, and I think this is one of the biggest problems, the signage. There are literally no signs saying which exits go to where in any of the Thomson-East Coast Line stations. All of the signs just point to the exit numbers, but literally all of the signs which I have seen on the Thomson-East Coast Line have no indications of where the exits go. Compare that to all other MRT stations, and you can see that the rest of the MRT stations all have the exits clearly labelled with the nearby landmarks which are located at those exits. But on the Thomson-East Coast Line, nope, nothing. The only time where you see actually useful information is when you go to the exit itself, and then there is a list of nearby landmarks. And it's not like the signs themselves can't fit more information, nor does adding those information overload a commuter with too much information. So yeah, that's the one thing I really don't like about the Thomson-East Coast Line. So that's the 5 things I like and don't like about the Thomson-East Coast Line. And feel free to share your own thoughts on the Thomson-East Coast Line in the comments if you have any. I'd be quite interested to read them. And by the way, if you like watching transport related content, check out the other videos on our channel and subscribe to us. We also have a Minecraft server dedicated to city building, so check us out too. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed the video and see you next time.